You are watching Conscious Evolution with Wes Heffernan.
So yes, my uncle, I helped him during the summer setting monuments, coping, things like that, but he had started doing some mausoleum work for Southern Mausoleum in Elberton, and then got connected with this gentleman in North Carolina that had connections with the two major, well at that time there were three major manufacturers of mausoleums. You asked about the marble. Down in Tate, Georgia, there was Georgia Marble that actually finished stone in mausoleums, and I have some beautiful pictures, but they sold out 20 years ago. And the people that bought them got rid of all the older generation that knew how to do the work, and then they couldn't do it properly, so now all they do is basically sell blocks. There was Georgia Marble, Rock of Ages out of Barre, Vermont, and then the company that I work with now solely, which is Cold Spring. And so my uncle starting a relationship with this gentleman opened the door up for us to go start doing this. And so when I came home for winter break, my second year, I didn't go back. And it was like the perfect thing. It's like, man, this, like, it gave me purpose to some extent, but it also tied in with some of what was becoming important in my life. And I am not a Mason, Freemason. I'm not like, when I speak of that, I am a Mason, working Mason, but from the Freemasonry standpoint, I am not a Mason, but their structure and the things that they are about has been very important in my life for a long time. Plumb, level, and square. Like, we talk about that every day at work. I've had a lot of experience, especially early on. Every crane operator I had was a 32nd degree Mason. One of the breaks I took in doing this stone work, I went into the cable industry with my dad, and the gentleman that trained me, 33rd degree Mason, let me hold the red book and flip through the symbols. And so like it was constantly something that I seemed to be attracting to my life. And I was never still enough to be able to have a home place to like take that, to go find a lodge and be involved until I settled down and moved to North Carolina. And I did make an attempt, and like I said, it still blows my mind sometimes that how could somebody like me have an opportunity to do something like this with all the mistakes that I've made in life, or I don't think of them as mistakes. Everybody else would think, oh, certainly I look at them as learning experiences and times to reflect and grow. But I do have a charge, a felony charge, an embezzlement charge. And there's a long story to that makes it not nearly as bad as it sounds. But I was like so intent on making sure that I told him all about this. I forgot to tell him my license had been suspended 10 years ago for not paying a speeding ticket. And Eric said that it was one of their most intense voting situations, but that was it. Why didn't I say that? Like I don't know. But the bigger picture of it is long ago. It's one of these conversations that I had with the crane operators. Something that's always stuck with me is that you don't have to be a Mason to take the journey. And quite often, the journey that's self-led will lead to far more understanding than anything that you'll get out of the lodge. And so that stuck with me a long time, and still does today. And I think that while I certainly know it's okay if I were a Mason to talk about most of the things, like, the secrets are internal. There's nothing secret about anything that the Masons talk about. It's right in front of you all the time. But I don't know, that was it for me to say, okay, although it's been an extraordinarily important part of my life, it was not meant to be my path. It was meant to be my guide, part of my guide, and it has been. So the third degree, that ritual is what I went through when I was about 20 or 21.
Me too.
But it wasn't led, but like I had this concept that I couldn't become who I really truly knew who I could be until my grandparents passed. And I really don't know why I had that connection, but you know, they were the ones that I always thought of as this right or wrong. Or like they were my moral compass, right? And I think, again, I've never been in the walls of the Masonic Lodge and talked about this kind of stuff, but like I really think that, you know, that first death is letting go of who you think you are based upon what everyone has told you, you know, friends, family, enemies, whatever, it doesn't matter, in your environment. And because I so closely utilized my grandparents as my moral guide, I had to find my moral guide. So the first thing I had to do was like feel that. And wow, so they both got real sick. And like I'm laying in bed with my wife and it like hit. And like I just started bawling, crying. I couldn't control it, like shaking. And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I'm killing my grandparents," right? Because I can't be, I declared it as so, that I can't be who I am to be, who I know I can be, until they pass. And here they are getting sick, and here I am like driving this passion to find my truth and to be my truth. And it was so real. Like, it was probably the most real mental only experience I have ever had, because I wasn't killing them. That's, you know, no, that didn't happen. But the events that were linked together caused me to feel this pain that was so tremendous. You can't describe, there's no words to describe it, you can only experience, right? And then to work through that and wake up as myself, as me, as Wes, for the first time. Man, it felt like you knew everything, right? Of course, you know, it didn't take long to learn. This is just the first step, man. But I do equate that not to the first degree, but I equate that to the third degree that you would have gone through in that being raised up. Yes, and so this was while I was working with my uncle at this time, for sure. Oh no, this was right after I left him and started on my own. So again, it coordinates with finding myself, finding my truth. You know, I parted ways with him and in '99.
You study the Bible a lot?
I do, I have. So again, when I was a little kid, I didn't go to my Sunday school. I would go to my grandparents' Sunday school class. It was 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it was. I always went to their Sunday school class. And so I would get to sit and hear the adults talking and through the Bible, and that was what I got. And, I was able to participate to some extent, not at 4 or 5, but when I got older, 7, 8, 9. And, I was going then a lot of times for the cookies and coffee. I drank coffee and milk, half and half. I got to drink that one back then. But anyway, so it was always something that was been a part of me, especially driven by, again, my grandparents, whom, by the way, I see unified as my maternal side. So I have my dad, and then my mom, so to speak, is my grandparents. Again, an example of a well-balanced energy, right? Masculine, feminine, all in one. While they were separate, there was Papa and Mama. To me, there was really one entity, my maternal side.
Thanks for watching. Join us next time on Conscious Evolution. Don't forget to subscribe.